Prof. So, good afternoon and welcome back into the studios. It's good to see you after quite a while. How have you been?
Good, fine, thank you.
All right, brilliant. So you've also come in at a very pertinent time. End of this week, on Sunday, the Hari Raya Idul Fitri festivities begin all across Malaysia. And despite us living under the CMCO for flattening the COVID-19 pandemic, let's cycle back a bit first, though, and tell me of what Safe Kids Malaysia has been up to ever since 2017 and winning the Prince Michael Award.
Right, thanks. So Safe Kids Malaysia, which is based in Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University Putra Malaysia, was established in 2011, and our parent body is based in US. It is called Safe Kids Worldwide, and we work on unintentional injuries among children, traffic injuries, drowning, fire and burns, poison, and sports injuries. So these are the main areas. But for in particular in Malaysia, if you look, the risk is much more higher for children on traffic, drowning and fire. So these are the three main programs that which we run. And in 2017, our flagship program, which we have been running on the Motorcycle Child Helmet Initiative, and that won us the Prince Michael International Road Safety Award.
That's right. So all the way from 2017 to now in mid-2020, also living under very extraordinary times. At the same time, there have been certain changes in rules and regulations surrounding particularly motorcycle safety, helmet initiatives. What are some of the progress or the positive changes that you have seen in the Malaysian scenario, and what needs to be done, though, still to make it better?
Yeah, I would say in Malaysia we are progressing pretty much well. If we look at, even though our number of road crashes are going up every year, but for road fatalities has been going down since 2017. So 2017, 18, 19, 3 years consecutively, our absolute figures are going down by on an average about 5%. So if we can maintain that particular momentum, we would be able to reach the Sustainable Development Goal, which was set by United Nations to bring down 50% in terms of road deaths by 2030. As long as we go on average every year 5%, with the next 10 years we should be able to reach the 50%. That's why. And what was helping, if I see, is the new initiative which the Ministry of Transport brought in was on the child seat.
That's right.
Right. So that was introduced in this year, beginning this year. But of course, the promotion was started even last year, and we can see there is a kind of interest among the public, among the new parents, new couples, to get the child seats. For the children. So when we are talking about child seat, it is not only child seat. Actually. When we are using child seat, indirectly the parents are also using their seat belts. So you have a spillover benefit. So we should see it in a larger program as though like it's a safety restraint system. So safety restraint system for adult is seat belt, for child is a child seat.
That's right. Now, when it came to the child seats particularly, Professor, I also remember the fact that there were a lot of parents who were concerned with the fact that, look, we know that we need to have the child safety seats, but at the same time, a lot of them are quite pricey. In your opinion, and from the research and work that you have done, what's a general, stable, or a good price range within which to look for a quality child seat for the car?
Right. In Malaysia, they're supposed to use a child seat which meets the two requirements. I mean, you should have the requirement of the label. It's called the R44. It's called Regulation 44 or Regulation 129. As long as you have that label, and it comes in an orange color sticker. So they will always fix it in the child seat. So for the consumers out there, when you want to purchase a child seat, the most important is make sure you get a standard child seat. And how to know it's a standard child seat? Look for the orange label, and it has the word R44 or R129. And the price in the market now, you could get any child seat with those label roughly around even 300 ringgit. So keeping in mind 300 ringgit, and the child seat can be used roughly even for about for next 5 years or what. So by diluting it per year, you're actually spending about 60 ringgit. By diluting it per month, you're actually spending 5 ringgit for a protection that you're going to give for your child.
So 5 ringgit extra, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, right.
Of course, those who drive cars are not the only motorists on the road. We will get into motorcycles a little bit later. But first, going back to road crash status. So now, road crash status in the country, at least looking at the pre-MCO period, however, we weren't doing too well. Malaysia actually ranks 3rd in Asia and ASEAN, right after Thailand and Vietnam. with regards to proportion of road accident crashes. Now, this does seem like a very dismal number when you look at an overview, considering the fact that Thailand, Vietnam, they both actually have triple, quadruple the population that Malaysia does. So what, in essence, do you feel, though, Prof, makes a lot of Malaysians poor drivers when it comes to the rate of crashes?
Yeah. As you can see, that the number of road crashes is increasing every year. Until 2019 is still increasing. The latest figure we have is 567,516 road crash. Keep in mind, these are reported road crash. There could also be some road crash which goes unreported.
Naturally.
Even those reported, it is as though like every 55 seconds we have one reported road crash in this country. Right, and one possible reason why we are having high number of road crash, because looking at the number of vehicle population that we have, for a country's population where we have about 32 million people, we have almost 30 million vehicles.
Right.
So this is one big challenge that we have. So our private vehicle usage is pretty much too skewed, very high compared to public transport usage. So if we want to manage the situation, if we can slowly shift from private vehicles to public transport, then to a certain extent we can handle this issue. That's one. Second is, in that 30 million vehicles that we have, the portion of motorcycles are more than half. So any countries in the world, just name it, whichever which has high number of motorcycles will record high number of crash and will record high number of fatalities. The reason is because a motorcycle is a two-wheel vehicle, therefore the chances for it to be involved in crash is high. The second reason is because the size is small, the visibility to see them is very much low.
That's right, exactly. So you've spoken about the fact that we've got so many accidents that it comes down to a rate of almost one every 55 seconds. In fact, it's not even been unusual for the current reigning Agong, the King of Malaysia, to be seen stopping to assist those involved in accidents on the highways. It's to that level. Yeah. So one, of course, it has to do with the fact that we've got lots and lots of vehicles out there on the road. But what about the component of personal or driver safety? Are our drivers particularly careless, and why so?
There is a kind of feeling within our drivers is whatever messages that we try to cross on road safety, they feel that that message is not really for them, it's for others. They always have a feeling that they are much more safer. And one reason why they have that kind of feeling is because compared to the number of hours or number of years they have been driving, the probability of a crash happening to them was very much low compared to the duration of years they have drove. So they always think that no, that won't happen to me because I have driven. I have drove yesterday more than 90 km/h, nothing happened. I have drove more than 110, nothing happened. So that kind of perception is going on within them. So that has to change because anything can happen at any time.
So this false sense of security, right?
Yeah.
But from there, Prof. Kulanthayan, let's move on into under the current MCO and CMCO period. Initial statistics are very encouraging, but let's break it down a little bit. So since MCO started on March the 18th, the Road Transport Traffic Department has actually noticed that there's been an almost 70% reduction. The stats are only about 10,382 accidents with 145 deaths in the 1 month period, March 18th to basically April 15th. But you were saying that this is actually not a very good number. Can you explain why?
Yeah, because if you see during the first part, the first phase during the MCO time, almost the entire nation was completely locked down at home. Only a small portion of people were moving around. But despite that, we still had only 70% reduction in number of road crash. We were expecting more than that. We were expecting close to at least 90% reduction in road crash and road death. But that didn't happen. So one possible reason that we could think of is when there are less number of vehicles on the road, then you have the space. What happens is the speed goes up.
Right. So you're still not actually addressing that one primary factor, that speed kills.
You're right.
Okay, so that's why 4 to 5 deaths a day still, even during MCO.
You're right, exactly. So once speed goes up, then you are not able to control your vehicle, and in the event a crash happens, the injury severity is pretty much very high. And just to keep in mind that our human body tolerance If I'm outside the vehicle as a pedestrian,
That's
and
right.
if a car comes and hits me, the maximum speed that I can take is up to 30 kilometer per hour. If anything above 30 kilometer per hour, my body can't tolerate that particular transfer of energy, and it can lead to fatality. That's outside the vehicle. If I'm sitting inside a vehicle, it's between 50 to 70 kilometer per hour maximum transfer of energy. So if I'm driving at 90 and I hit another car at 90, most probably it can be a fatal crash.
That's right. Now, Prof, we'd actually like to pull out a couple of slides that you provided us with so that you can go through them and tell us a little bit about this epidemic that is occurring on our roads, under our noses every day.
Yeah, if you see, everyone are worried with the COVID pandemic, but then we forget that we also have a traffic pandemic which is killing more number of people every day for the past 10-20 years. Just look at it, every day we are killing almost 17 people per day we are killing, and it goes by every 85 minutes we have one death in this country. We're talking about
staggering amounts.
Yeah, we are not talking about serious injuries. We are not talking about loss of physical part of bodies. Whatever it is, your post-traumatic stress disorder, your depression, anxiety. I mean, the in terms of the health issues are too huge.
That's right. Absolutely. So many things to be considered, but at the same time, now let's move on into the highest risk category. Speaking about motorcyclists. Now, motorcyclists actually make up about 80% of total road accident fatalities in Malaysia, according to Department of Statistics analogies. And what would you say makes motorcyclists this much more vulnerable as compared to even those who drive cars? Prof.
Yeah, if you look at Malaysian, the police statistics 2017, 64.5% of total death, of road death, belongs to motorcyclists. That means both villain riders and their passengers. Okay. And if we go by the body part injury, which part of body part injury which caused that particular death among motorcyclists, and you can see that 55% was because of head injury, and the second part was they call multiple injury, which was close to about 30%. So in multiple injury, it can be also head and your hand, head and leg or what. So if you just look at head only, that means from a minimum of 55 up to about 85% of death of every motorcyclist can be due to head injuries.
So is that pointing to the fact that our motorcyclists aren't wearing helmets, or are they not properly wearing helmets, or is the quality of the helmets that they are wearing?
Good. In terms of quality, I'm not much worried, because the helmets, we have the standards, the Malaysian standards, and that's been reviewed a couple of times. And the latest one we have is the MS1 2011, and our standards meet the UNECE regulation as well. So in terms of standard, I'm not much worried. It's just that every consumer, make sure that when you are purchasing the helmet, look for the CRAM label behind the helmet. So that has to be taken care in terms of the consumer part. The issue that you have brought up just now is in terms of the proper usage. This is the challenge that we have. Proper usage here means when you are tying it, the best, try to make sure that the strap touches your chin, or the for whatever reason that if you feel uncomfortable, the maximum space that you should allow is only until 2 finger space. That's it. But it's the best, try to touch the chin. But for whatever reason, then maximum only 2 space. So that's the issue that we are facing, because most of them, about more than half are wearing it properly. But there is a small group who are tying it loosely or untying it. And we have almost like about close to about 20% who are not using helmets at all for certain trips. That means for short distance, for traveling within their residential areas, or sometimes during night times, or sometimes during weekends. All these, if you see, are related to enforcement. Whenever they feel the probability of being detected is low, then they are taking some risky activities.
There you go. And of course, risk knows no time limit, no time frame, and no distance. But from there, though, I'd like to focus on another thing. The fact that the majority of motorcycle rider deaths, almost 90%, are for those aged between 16 to 20 years. What does this definitely speak of and alarm you as somebody who works in the research field for this?
Yeah, if you look at that age group, that is the age group which, if in terms of the type of vehicles that they can first own, or sometimes could be the motorcycle, because it's a cheaper, or that's the first type of vehicle where the parents might give it to them, and this is a type of vehicle which they may want to use elsewhere. And young people are mostly risk takers as well, So giving them a two-wheel vehicle, which is a risky vehicle, which we call it, because motorcycle is 17 times more risky than a car.
That's right.
Right. So that vehicle, no matter who uses it, is going to be risky, and giving them to a young person who are risk takers, now it really
It just
adds
exponentially
risk,
adds
doubles
it.
it.
That's
So
right.
this is the issue now.
Absolutely. So from there, though, Prof, to round off everything that we've been discussing as we move towards the close of the show itself, let's talk about what can the average road user be doing during this period of the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, when there will be a few more, definitely, Malaysians than anticipated on the roads out there. What should be the basic safety tips?
Yeah, the first thing, if you ask us, the most promising intervention is reduce your speed. Yeah, if you can get every road user, no matter which type of vehicle you're using, get your speed reduced. Because once you reduce your speed, you can control your vehicle, and in the event of a crash happens as well, the injury is much more lower. That's one. And second, we want to highlight to you is, keep in mind is, if you are crash at a 90 km/h speed, it is equivalent to falling from a 10th floor. So just look at the probability of survival if you fall from a 10th floor. So when you know the probability of survival is pretty much low, that is equivalent to 90 km/h crash. So get your speed completely reduced. And then the second one is, if you're using a car, please make sure you use the safety products available, because when you buy the car, you buy together with the seat belts. Make full use of the seat belts, and our kind request is seat belt is for every passenger. It's not only for the driver and the front passenger. The rear passengers have to use the seatbelt. Just imagine if I'm the rear seatbelt, if I'm the rear passenger, if I don't wear a seatbelt, okay, I will move in the front and I will add risk to the driver.
Absolutely.
Even if the driver wears a seatbelt, if his passenger behind is not wearing, he still has risk. So for every driver, we request, first you wear a seatbelt, and next make sure that all your passengers are wearing seatbelt, then only start your travel journey.
Really sound advice. Now, what about when it comes to those who are using their motorcycles, either for their long distance trips when they have the permits to cross state borders, or even within their own neighborhoods?
Okay. For motorcycles, just we want to tell you all is, the risk is the same whether you are traveling for short distance or long distance. So don't think that if short distance your risk is less. No, the risk is almost equivalent. So for you is, keep in mind your size of motorcycle is too small, so the chances for people to see you is much more low. So for you to increase that chances is, at every point of time, including daytime, make sure you on your lights. So when you on your car, when you on your lights, then the chances for people to see is high. One, in the night time, try to wear a reflective vest, because
That's
then
right.
people can see you. But in the event if you don't have a reflective vest, minimum is please use bright clothing in the night, so that people can see you from far. And then when say, for example, if I can see a motorcycle in the front, then I can always reduce my speed and I can avoid a crash happening.
That's right. And one last thing though, what about pillion riders, particularly children on motorcycles?
Right. For children on motorcycles, again the same issue is, make yourself visible by wearing bright. And second thing is, wear the child helmets. The helmet has to be as per your size of your head. Okay, so and that child helmet also must have CRIM certification label, because what you get in the market sometimes is you get the toys helmet, plastic or games helmet, which doesn't gives you the protection that you're supposed to get.
That's right. Thank you so much, Prof. Once again, you've always been a wealth of information on the topic of road safety, as well as how to stay safe on the way to the Balik Kampung journeys. And basically, in conclusion, the reasons for road traffic accidents, of course, are multiple, including rapid urbanization, poor safety standards, lack of enforcement, and people driving in various levels of distraction, tired, and speeding. So what it all does come down to at the end of the day, though, is that road traffic accidents are preventable and predictable. So with all of that in mind, we wish all our viewers safe journeys on the roads during the upcoming Eid al-Fitr celebrations. I'm Tamina Kausji, together with Prof. Dr. Kulanthayan, signing off on The Nation.
Hai, saya Samad. Saya stres. Ini kawan saya, Ismail. Ismail juga ada kalanya stres jika berhadapan dengan kerja yang banyak. Mereka di rumah juga stres. Lumrah manusia, kita semua menghadapi stres. Stres yang keterlaluan menyebabkan keresahan dan kemurungan. Kita boleh menguruskan stres dengan bijak. Amalkan cara hidup sihat seperti bersenam setiap hari, makan secara sihat dan uruskan waktu dengan bijak. Kongsi perasaan dengan orang yang anda percayai. Let's talk Minda Sihat.
Jangan kongsi berita palsu. Dapatkan berita yang sahih dari sumber yang berkredibiliti. Ikuti berita dan informasi di Bernama TV.
Pasukan khas kesan individu rentas negeri tanpa kebenaran. Dan bicara kes rasuah pecah amanah Ahmad Zahid bersambung 15 Jun. Assalamualaikum, salam hormat. Buletin Bernama 1 tengah hari bersama saya Nur Liana Zulkifli. Polis Diraja Malaysia PDRM menubuhkan pasukan khas bagi mengesan individu yang melakukan pergerakan rentas negeri tanpa kebenaran untuk menyambut Aidilfitri. Ketua Polis Negara Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bado berkata, pasukan khas yang turut dianggotai Angkutan Tentera Malaysia ATM itu ditugaskan untuk melakukan pemantauan di kawasan perumahan dan kampung di seluruh negara. Abdul Hamid berkata arahan telah dikeluarkan kepada semua ketua polis negeri untuk mengambil tindakan dan pemantauan di seluruh negara. Beliau berkata PDRM mempunyai rekod individu yang telah mendapat kebenaran rentas negeri. Dalam pada itu, Abdul Hamid berkata orang ramai yang ingin melakukan pergerakan rentas negeri perlu mempunyai alasan munasabah serta mendapat kebenaran pihak polis terlebih dahulu. Semalam, Menteri Kanan Kluster Keselamatan Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob dilapor berkata sebanyak 1,175 kenderaan dikesan cuba merentas negeri pada Sabtu telah diarah berpatah balik. Sebelum ini, Ismail Sabri berkata tindakan kompaun kini boleh dikenakan oleh PDRM ke atas individu yang ditahan kerana merentas sempadan negeri tanpa kebenaran. Orang ramai boleh membuat laporan polis jika terdapat pelanggaran prosedur operasi standard atau SOP sepanjang pelaksanaan Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan Bersyarat PKPB. Baik, selepas ditangguh selama 2 bulan, perbicaraan kes bekas Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi yang menghadapi pertuduhan rasuah, pecah amanah dan pengubahan wang haram membabitkan dana Yayasan Akal Budi akan disambung semula 15 Jun. Kali terakhir prosiding perbicaraan kes Presiden UMNO itu adalah pada 6 Mac lalu di